Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Speak Your Truth with Mark Ross podcast. My name is Mark Ross, of course, and with me this evening is Kat, one in the middle, Joshua, of course, and Natalie. You guys refer to yourselves as the chosen family. Welcome, chosen family.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
First off, guys, I just want to get right down to that question. Why do you guys refer to, let me back up. Explain to us who you guys are and why you guys call yourselves the chosen family.
Mark, let me start by saying thank you for having us on. And just to preface it, we laugh about it because we've spoken about it, and it's like we want to jump right into the deep end of the pool. But I get it. So we're a triad. We've been together, Kat and I, for 8 years, Natalie and us for 3. Kat and I have been together. We met each other through 2 different hardships. One where she lost her husband to cancer, and myself through a bad breakup that was difficult for me to land. Kat created space for me to ground myself again, and our relationship developed and deepened because she gave me the space to really find the language that I needed in order to unbecome the person I had become from just what it means to be a guy in this world. Kat gave me the space to correct my actions, to change my direction, and we developed a real deep love and trust and support of each other in our mission, in our life, in our love. And it's been we actually just hit 8 years a week ago. Natalie met us at an event that we were hosting, and when I met Natalie, she was working on her mental health in a way that I'd never seen someone so young and so determined on course correcting from what happened in her lived experience. And it was like, that's something I want to support. And when we connected, it was like I could be for her at this point in my life that I couldn't be earlier in my life. And that's what's allowed our connection, Natalie and I's connection, to develop deeper. Her and Kat, they have what is the word we came up with?
A romantic mentorship.
A romanticship.
Romantic.
All right. So you're mentoring Natalie, Kat?
It's a default setting. I'm much older than that. Have consequently more life experience just by virtue of the fact that I've been, around the sun that many more times than she has. And so she has things that she can learn from me, and I have things I learn from her
all the time.
And so, and our relationship has a romantic nature to it and romantic edge to it. And, but it's definitely familial. So when we say chosen family, everyone comes from a biological family, but that may not necessarily be for a person that what you think of when you think of family, right? My biological family, I don't have any hard feelings about anybody, but I'm not very close to them. These are people that I'm close to. These are people that I make my life with. These are people that matter to me, that I love very deeply, as you do a family. And so the 3 of us are a triad. We're in a relationship, but we also have other people that are near us and close to us that we consider our more extended chosen family as well.
As you say that, I'm thinking what comes to mind is how family is it's indisposable. You can't get rid of family. You can choose to not be with family, but you can't undo that.
Right. You can't unrelate yourself to the people you're related to.
To the degree of my commitment to you guys, I can't separate that. Like, no matter where our arguments and disagreements may go, no matter what I may be going through or whatever conflict we have, that doesn't mean you're able to, I can't just throw you away as well. It's like there's an intention on working shit out.
Right.
Every time.
Right.
I agree. Ultimately, we have a unique relationship in comparison to others, or what is societally seen as quote unquote normal, right?
I mean, what is normal nowadays? I mean,
exactly. What is normal? We don't know, but
yeah.
it's still strange for three people to be together, and the age difference as well, 20
Mm,
years between all of us.
mm.
It's extremely taboo, not only taboo, like adding the extreme element is true. And with the chosen family element, we're simply trying to find words to be able to describe what is maybe not necessarily describable. And today, the fact that we were able to, we were on another podcast and I was able to come up with this romantic mentorship word was almost like a mind-blowing thing for me, because we've never been able to label what we have. So that's we are.
Those are good words to use. I mean, and how you said it was eloquent, because there's an age difference between you guys, and not just age difference, but maturity, sense of bending around the block, so to speak, and wisdom that you can share to you, Natalie. And that's, I guess that's what makes the words that you use so appropriate, because you are learning from her, and she's, as she said earlier, learning from you as well, But I guess that leads me to ask you, Natalie, since you're the young one in the mix, what made you say okay to that?
What made me say okay to this relationship?
Yes.
Well,
Oh,
well,
he's flexing
No,
already.
no, no, no,
You
no,
got
no,
this man.
no.
You got him flexing already, Natalie. Come on, man.
I
No,
see
no,
it
no.
every day. Nothing new for me.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, I like to say it's funny because the story goes, I really truly believe that I manifested the relationship that I'm in, and we are polyamorous, and we're exploring the language of polysexual as something new in our vocabulary.
Explain what that means, just so that whoever may not know.
So how I view it
Mhm.
is polyamory is when you are in multiple relationships at once, committed relationships. And polysexual is when you are having multiple sexual relationships at once. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the relationship has to go any farther than sex or intimacy, right? Is that how you would say?
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I truly do believe that I manifested the relationship that I'm in, because it makes me do the hard work of unlearning what I was taught and all the limiting beliefs that I have around relationships that my parents taught me from the Catholic religion that I grew up within, from the emotional immaturity that my parents did have in their understanding of relationships. It's extremely difficult to witness the people who I love be in relationship with other people, but it's less and less and less difficult as I move forward with it, because I do believe that it is true that I can't only have one love at one time. Like I truly believe that one person can't fulfill every need. And the other day we were having a conversation, me and Joshua, about, he asked me if he fulfills my needs, and I said, I was thinking about it, and I go, absolutely. And the ones that are feel unfulfillable are the ones that I need to fulfill for myself. In truth, like I need to take those moments where it feels like I need another person to care for me, and I need to put all that care into caring for myself. And it's an incredible opportunity for me to be my own parent, to be my own love, and I'm really appreciative.
Just for the record, for anyone who may be watching or anyone who may watch at a later time, we're not trying to project onto other people how they should be living their intimate romantic relationships.
Okay, yeah,
I after being in a poly relationship, I fully support monogamy because of the amount of investment that needs to go into repairing ruptures rather than people looking for quick solutions. This relationship grew and was built. We didn't seek out to make this happen. There wasn't anything wrong with Kat and I that made me look for Natalie. It was Natalie, like she said, manifested. I have my own manifestation story. It's kind of wild and it's kind of funny and objectifying in its own funny kind of universal way. But we're not looking to normalize. We're not saying everyone should be doing this. Ultimately, what we want people to see is that through hard work and through communication and through sacrifice, can strong relationships be built.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, curious question. Is there anybody else besides you three that you guys see, you know what I'm saying? You guys see people outside of yourselves, or is it just the three of you?
Yeah, we have we actually have one visiting from Detroit now. She's here for spring break from med school, and it's like we have a supportive, deep relationship with her because we've been engaged with her for almost 2 years and helping support her through her journey of being in a different city, looking to, because we're involved in BDSM, leather, and kink. This is the tie into all of it. It's like we're not that we're not everyday people either. Our work, we're co-founders of an organization called the Kink Collective, and people come to us looking to develop a deeper relationship with their sexuality, with their identity, and the power of their voice. Madeline came. She came through. I don't want to drop any names without asking. She came through, and we met her 2.5 years ago, and she stayed and she supported who we are as an organization, and then that relationship developed over time. And she's an example of being invited into our private space, our private time, sharing time with us, both intimate and personal and recreational, and going out into water parks and roller skating and shit like that, because it's like we want to meet people who we can trust.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm gonna get into the Kink Collective a little later, but and thank you for illustrating that. But I want to really get down to each person individually. And I want to start with you, Kat, because you initially reached out to me. So I initially thought that the conversation was going to be one-to-one. But when we did our initial conversation, ladies and gentlemen, it was a 1-to-3. So surprise. But anyway, our initial conversation was really interesting, guys. And I was just giggling about that shit all day, man. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was moved by the conversation. But Kat, I want you to share with us your story first. And it's crazy because all you guys have a story, right? And it's good to see how you guys were able to bring it all together and make it into a well-built machine, right? But Kat, I want to start with you as far as talking about each other's backstories and just tell us who are you, Kat? What makes Kat?
What makes me? Well, we did have a chat earlier, and I have no idea what'll come out now compared to when we talked the last time.
That's all right.
What happens with my story.
That's all right.
I grew up here in New York, where I live now, technically on Long Island. Which didn't come out the last time. My mother passed away from cancer when I was a young girl. I was 11 years old when I lost my mother, and my dad remarried right away. And then my family moved to Florida, and then ultimately I moved to Illinois, and then later on I moved to California, and then 15 years ago I came back to New York City. So I've sort of traveled around the country over the course of my life, living in different places, doing different things. School was a challenge for me. Life was a challenge for me for a lot of years. And then when I was 29 years old, I was able to stop drinking, which was something I needed to do. And I haven't had a drink since. Thank you, God. And
Indeed.
so, sobriety is a big part of my journey in my life. The work that I've had to do to get and maintain sobriety has certainly informed a lot of my life. I'm grateful for it. I live by certain standards that I have to live by in order to be able to keep what I've got, right? You gotta give it away to keep what you got. So I work with people and I take care of that as it's a priority for me. That happened while I lived in California. And then about 15 years ago, I moved back here to New York to pursue this lifestyle we're talking about. I'd been interested in it. I dabbled around in it while I lived in California, but then I had an opportunity to come back to New York, which I had wanted to come back east for a long time. The other reason why I reached out to you, my interest in reaching out to you was because of the work that you do around mental illness or mental health and trying to promote that, right? And I've had a journey with that as well. And we talked about that last time, right? When I was about 7 years sober, I was diagnosed with a major unipolar depression, which I really, really struggled with for a long time. It took me a long time, a bunch of different doctors, a bunch of different medications, a stint through disability because I just couldn't function at a certain point. Spending some time in some deep dark feelings around, not knowing how I was going to get through the day. And ultimately I finally found a doctor and got on some medication that finally helped. And I was able to recover from the depression. I still struggle with anxiety. I had a recent little bout of the depression, but got to the doctor and got it taken care of right away. And so, that's been part of my life too, is how to be a person who has mental illness sounds so severe when you say it, right? And depression certainly qualifies. But I'm just grateful. So now I've been married and divorced a couple times. As Joshua alluded at the beginning of the show, my last husband passed away. And so now I find myself here. I didn't plan this life. If you had told me this is where I would be and what my life would look like, if you told me this 10 years ago, I would have said, oh, how ridiculous is that?
Yeah.
So, but I'm grateful. I'm super grateful to be here. I'm super grateful to be where I'm at and to be who I'm with and to be here today.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Joshua, you're next, brother. Share your story, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I'm here thinking, I'm like, how can I tell a different version of the same story? And this is actually my first time seeing it. I'm a latchkey kid, as well as a statistic. And I'm Puerto Rican and Mexican. I grew up in New York City. I was born in Miami, grew up in New York City. I'm a child of the 80s and the 90s. And I was influenced by society, by music, by culture, by everything built around me. And a lot of this starts off with me wanting to be a man. Because I wanted to get out of the house and be on my own, because growing up, I think everyone experiences a form of neglect, but growing up to where you're going home to an empty house, or a home where your sister beats you up because you're a pain in the ass little brother sometimes, if she is home, that's a special kind of experience, especially before the internet, before the type of supervision that a lot of folks have now. And when I say I'm a statistic, I have 4 children, 4 different mothers. I had an experience with family court when I was 19 that really set me on course with a lot of anger and resentment because of the lack of support that men would have in the family court system. Meaning, no matter how much right I did, as long as the mother didn't kill the baby, she was given the grace. And by the end of the 8 years of being in family court and trying to do the right thing, military, paid, like I was doing everything I possibly could for the court to just disregard it all, it put me in a spiral of anger, a lot of resentment. And there's a special kind of trauma, man, when all you try to do is right and the system just keeps shutting me down. And it was like I carried this for 20 years, meaning the infidelity in my relationships for the next 2 decades were because I didn't want to be disempowered anymore. And that's what started my journey into this alternative lifestyle, because I wanted to regain power over self and power over others so that I could not be left again. I could not be deserted again. I couldn't be betrayed again. But in turn, what was happening was I was the person doing the betraying. And I left scorched earth. But I didn't realize this until my ex, before I met Kat, where it was a ugly breakup. And a few months after the breakup, this was during the Me Too movement, which was necessary. And there are bad actors out there, and I'm glad that what happened is what happened. What came next, though, was the weaponization of it and the philosophy of believe the victim. And that's where I fell into this whole mix of current events. With that being said, her mission in canceling me worked in a huge way. But the unfortunate part about it was a lot of the stuff she said was either, almost all of the stuff she said was either untrue or half-truths. And I'm not trying to deflect. What ended up happening was people believed the story. Joshua became a villain. And over the years after that, it took me some time to see the role that I played and why would I lied and I cheated, without a doubt. And what I realized was years after, through a conversation I was having with a friend of mine, she said, you know, the biggest thing that bothered my ex was that women were using her to get to me, and I was having sex with them. And she was older than me, and I put all these pieces together that there was a lot of insecurity, a lot of abandonment issues, a lot of fear of being left, and I affirmed all of that shit by my cheating, with no regard to the impact, because that wasn't my intention. My intention was just to do it because at some point in the relationship, she said, fine, go do whatever you want.
And you did.
And I did.
Okay.
And I know damn well that doesn't mean that, but
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to hear it anymore. So I made the choice. I made the choice. I can't say whether it's incorrect or not because I learned a lot of fucking lessons from it, and I wouldn't undo it. It's just unfortunate. It came at the cost of harming someone's identity. When that happened, I was already with Kat, and I was already trying to course correct because I didn't want to be in those relationships without me being able to be myself from that point forward. The damage was done, and I needed God to come down and touch me and say, change your fucking behavior. And so I did. However, the cancellation was introduced a level of PTSD that was fucking nuts. Because again, what she said I did, it's really intense. I can't accept responsibility for what she said because that wasn't true, but I do accept what happened. And in that time, what ended up happening was the club that Kat was in, to make a long story short, she ended up getting evicted because of the drama that was introduced by this cancellation. And it's all a blessing in disguise, right? It was hard, it was ugly. However, on the other side of it, I was dodging papers being served. I've never been triggered in a movie where I got the anxiety of not feeling safe because of everything that happened after the cancellation. So having worked through it with Kat, changing my behavior, because that's ultimately what needed to be done so that I can be the best version of myself for the woman who had created the container for me to heal from my wounds, that I self-inflicted wounds, but she gave me the space to heal. Over that period of time, I really dove into the work that we're doing and the work that I'm doing personally. Back then, I was doing professional domination, essentially helping people reframe their relationship with sexuality and identity and vulnerability. And what I noticed in that time, and I'm wrapping it up with this, I was helping and I was showing up in professional relationships in ways that I wasn't in my personal, intimate relationships. So imagine I'm here telling you, Mark, I'm like, hey, go live your best life. Don't take no shit. Be truthful, be authentic, all that shit. And then you left. I put my mask back on and I went back home. And it was like, I was such a fucking hypocrite. And I was like, that gave me the space to undo that, to finally feel safe so that I could say what was true for me and help me put down a lot of these bags that I brought onto myself, but I needed the space and the care and the love and the support of someone who said, I see how hard you're hurting too. And that's what helped me move through a lot of the shit that I brought into my own life.
Yeah.
And then meeting Natalie was the opportunity for me to take everything I've unlearned and integrate it into a relationship of support for Natalie as well.
Yeah. I see that Marine Corps shirt, sir.
I have to come represent.
I'm not going to let you slide without talking about your time in the service now.
Yeah.
Come on, Double Dog. Come on, Double Dog. Got to talk about it, man. When did you go?
I was in from 97 to 2001. I got out right before 9/11.
Okay.
Thankfully, I almost re-enlisted to do EOD because I had such a good time as a sergeant in the Marines. I made it up to the marksmanship training unit for the battalion. I was a firearms instructor for the last 2 years, and I made it up to sergeant, and it was one of the most empowering experiences in my life, both positive and negative. It was the first place I got to experience racism in a way, because I may look white, but my name tag says Rodriguez.
Exactly.
And my paperwork beat me wherever I went, right? So it was like there was no dodging the racism. I got to experience that. And then I got to experience the other side, the extreme other side of gratitude and good leadership and good mentorship and men of faith and practice who were good role models that I didn't have in person growing up. Here, growing up in East Harlem, my father was my father. He sacrificed a lot of time to work to provide. So there was an absence of, he wasn't there as a father, he was there as a provider, right? Solely as a provider. Like there was times and shit like that that we would have affection and stuff like that, but the way he grew up and what he knew, he did what he knew. And it was to provide. And growing up, like my before the Marines, which was Sergeant Rudd, the drill instructor, who was the first fucking role model in the Marines, and then Sergeant Buck, who was another drill instructor, and then Staff Sergeant Eisworth, who was my last staff NCO before I got out. Those are men I would still die for today because of the influence and the power that they showed me of what good leadership looks like. And it was something that wasn't in every person I met. To include after my time in the Marines, I worked for the Feds for about 10 years. And there too, it was poor leadership, people afraid of taking responsibility. It was actually when I worked for the government that I realized no one's driving the ship. Everyone's winging existence. And it was like, it was really disappointing. Like, but I thought you guys were the managers.
Right. Yeah. Just the title, brother. Just the title.
I love my time in the Marines, and I it was some of the best and some of the worst times, and I wouldn't take any of it back. But being a sergeant is in and of itself a label, a title, a role that I've carried with me after. Because you know how it is when we meet other Marines outside, like Natalie's uncle is a Marine. He's a Chief Warrant Officer 5, dude. The guy's a unicorn.
Yes,
like,
he is.
He has a unicorn challenge wing, dude. And I met him, but I got these tattoos. I'm 20 years older than him. I'm showing up.
It was fun.
Yeah, right.
Holy crap.
He's a Leo as well, right? He's an officer as well. And so I met him for the first time, and he's grilling me, man. And I'm like, so we start to have the conversation. I just start laying out the evidence, the information, the language, and about 5 minutes in, the Johnny Walker Blue comes out, and we're smoking and joking, and it was
having a bourbon.
Yeah. After he gave you that little poundy, he pulled out the alcohol. Yeah. I get it.
I'm his only niece, so.
Oh man. Well, okay, only niece. You're up next.
What's your story? Wow, what an entryway. Yeah, I grew up in the first suburb outside of Buffalo, New York, and what I realized from our initial conversation was how lonely it was for me. I felt really secluded and stuck in the place that I grew up in for 18 years. And my parents were emotionally immature. I say this all with awakenings after working to unravel my experiences over the past 4 years since I moved to New York from studying and finishing my degree in the UK and London. But at the time, growing up, I was having temper tantrums and I was distracted and I was struggling, but I had no pieces to be able to configure why that was happening as a kid. And a couple years ago, I had the memories that I was sexually assaulted by my uncle or a family member. I call him my uncle. We were talking about that the other day as well. politeness, out of politeness. And so I've been putting the pieces together regarding that, and growing up, I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, but in truth, it was and is CPTSD that I've been working towards unraveling and recovering from my entire life. So I have a lot of memories from my childhood that have been resurfacing over the years. And I'm extremely grateful for that within these past few years that I've been devoted to therapies, talk therapies, as well as the transformation work that I do within my power exchange dynamic as a submissive to Joshua, but also as a dominatrix in my professional life. I live on both sides of the coin, and they fulfill one another's understandings. But yeah, I lived in Buffalo till I was 18. I went and moved to school about an hour away. I went to school for dance, and I had this need to run away from where I was born, where I lived my life, my entire life. And again, that roots back to the not knowing a lot of my history. And I see now that was because I didn't have that understanding. I didn't have those roots. And so I was running away from memories that I couldn't even recall. So I traveled the world, I lived abroad, I was, had my own experiences during COVID that eventually led to an eating disorder. And I had to recover from that as well, which was my biggest feat. So when I moved to New York, after I graduated from school, I went through this extreme hunger period, and I finally received help, and thankfully now that's I can say that's 90% recovered. I still have my thoughts, and I still have to counteract them with truths and science. So I've done a lot of work on myself and my body image and the recovery that comes with that, as well as being a woman. So being in the face of objectification and being in the dance industry professionally. And I'm really proud of myself for all that I've done to be where I am today. And in terms of meeting Joshua and Kat, I met them about 7 months, 8 months when I moved to New York, and I went back into the BDSM and kink community, and they were hosting an event. And like I said in the initial entry, my introduction, like I really do believe that I manifested the relationships that I'm in, that the relationships that I'm in with them are for the reason so that I can be a better person. I can be who the most powerful version of myself. And that's where I am today.
Okay. Yay.
Yay.
Well, and thank you guys for sharing your individual stories. And it's interesting. I look at you guys and I see family, right? You guys help each other, support one another. You hold your hand, pick them up, all those good things. And I guess, and I'm saying that to say that sometimes I guess we individually, we do need others to help us from time to time. And unfortunately, some people don't have it, but it's fortunate that you guys have each other. And I'm not even getting into the BDSM and all that stuff. I'm just talking about you guys as a unit, period. You guys have a good opportunity because some people don't have that. I say all that to say, to ask a question, and whoever want to answer. But with all that you guys have encountered individually and maybe together, how did all that strengthen your unit? Josh, go ahead.
So,
How'd you know he wanted to talk?
Everybody was pausing to us, so I
right. So first
Too
off,
late.
it's gonna come
No,
down to the framework of leather BDSM and kink, and ultimately leather culture. And I bring that in because leather culture is about a set of principles of practice. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, don't be a dick, be honorable, the Marine Corps values very much in line with leather culture, because it's about honor, integrity, truth, transparency. Ultimately, tell the truth. Show up, especially when you don't want it, when it's not going to work in your favor. So it's like,
And help your fellow man.
and help, right? So like, I like to think of us like a fire team more so than anything else, right? Like, in the culture, I'm her master. Ultimately, the way it is teacher student. I'm the teacher, she's the student. I've earned her trust and respect, and for lack of better words, compliance, meaning she's agreeing to allow me to lead her through this. Understanding the roles that we play in each other's life makes it so much easier versus me wanting to be in a particular role in her life and her being in mine. It's like we fit and we take charge where we best fit and take charge. For example, Kat is the head of the machine. She does the managing, she does the money, she knows, she does the logistics. I won't ever push back against Kat if Kat said, Joshua, this is what needs to be done. Done. If Natalie, she manages the business that we do, she has her own insight, her own strengths. If she says, Joshua, this needs to be done, I'm not going to question. I'm going to step in and I'm going to support in what needs to be done in the greater mission. Putting ego aside in the relationship has been the most empowering and it builds the momentum to allow things to happen. If I spend time in my ego trying to dictate how I want this to be, and it has to be my way all the time, we wouldn't get anywhere. Now, with that being said, I'm human. I drop the ball from time to time, and sometimes they got to slap me back into position. But it's the willingness to work through the shit that allows us to be so strong.
For me, it's a lot about the commitment, right? The commitment is a no matter what commitment, right? Like, so we've gone through and worked through all the things that we've done because we had an unshakable agreement to stay, right? Even when shit got tough, right? Even when stuff is hard, the commitment is to just stay and work through it. And that creates a foundation that's pretty unshakable.
Now, to stay in it within reason, right? It's like discernment in there. Like, the people get confused with unconditional love, like you got to accept all the terms. It's like, no, I only accept the best terms because my best interests and your best interests have to show up. If that doesn't show up, maybe my best interest is in you needing to go get help because it's a bigger picture thing, right? So it's like making sure that we're not erasing ourselves and our needs in at the same time as saying, okay, let's work through it.
Yeah.
Boundaries. Personal boundaries.
Yeah, having boundaries. I mean, I don't think any of us would accept a lesser version of the other, right? And so it's showing up and doing the work we need to do to be the best versions of ourselves, and then sticking that out no matter what.
And knowing that we have, when we're not infallible, and sometimes we need to rest, and sometimes that rest looks like a plateau, and I just can't do any more fucking work right now. I'm so emotionally drained. I just need to not. And the space to say, that's cool. Like when we met, the idea was that this power exchange, master slave, and we're going to attack the world and stuff like that. But the capacity wasn't there yet to step deep into that level of responsibility within our.
No matter where she was at.
I had to. And for months, it was like, we're going to work on you. We're going to get you grounded. I don't need this fulfilled for me right now. That's not the priority. You being grounded is the priority. And so we made the time, we made the space so that we can get into positions of real power and not projection.
Yeah, absolutely. We say it all the time, or we break people by by saying that to some degree we don't go into relationships with the expectation of how a relationship is supposed to look, and to some degree there's a expectation in BDSM and power dynamic relationships that you're going to go in with all these rules, you're going to go in with all this protocol, and that's how it's going to work, and that's what the expectation is, to follow it. And I had this realization the other day. It's if you go in with the expectation of, you're going to be disappointed. You're surely going to be disappointed, because you've never lived it. You don't know how it's going to turn out. So if you can meet the person where they're at for who they are in this moment in time, and that's what we've worked towards accomplishing and being in, it's really going to be a much more fruitful and fulfilling experience for you.
Adaptability is a must, because we all have ADHD too, right? So, like, I'm late age
Whoa.
diagnosed. I got diagnosed maybe 3 years ago.
I got diagnosed like 2 years ago.
I got diagnosed 2 years ago, and then Natalie came in already broken.
I got diagnosed when I was 16.
Goodness. So what does that, how does that present in your arrangement with
Chaos.
everybody just, you know, ADHD in their own way? How does that even present
A
in
tight calendar.
Well, for me, I forget what I'm doing midway of doing anything, and then I return back to it, or I don't. So I really have to keep track of what I'm doing, finishing what I'm doing, or actually be intentional that I'm not going to finish what I'm doing and I'm going to return back to it. I become forgetful. I get lost in my emotional states. I become sensitive to my surroundings, to sounds, and so I get lost in conversation. Someone will be talking to me, and then I something pops up in my head, or a squirrel, or like truthfully. But it's also for me a superpower. I can see 5 steps ahead of me, because when I'm in conversation with someone, I'm sure you can relate to this as well, is there's an ability to see the person in their power, and it really comes in handy when I'm working with a client in professional domination, or when I'm working and I'm staring at the organization and I see what it can be. I'm thankful for it in many ways, where it also causes me frustration.
That's deep.
Thank you.
Yeah,
because I forget that you have it. Because from the outside, you don't look like you don't look like you're that scattered from the outside.
but that's also a female trait, and that's why I was undiagnosed for a while, and maybe the same for you. It's in science, it's females who have ADHD, they don't move, like it's not shown physically, and men, on the other hand, they want to walk and move, and they can't sit still, and they want to fidget, and then it's different. You can't see it as easily.
Yeah.
Do you know how bad I want to get up?
I know, he's like,
you want to get up and run around, and let me go to the fridge, and let me go to the window.
Yeah. How about for you, Mama? How does it show?
ADHD.
Wow.
Yeah, I think for me, it's mostly a focus issue, right? I have trouble focusing. I have trouble staying on task. I have trouble, but I'm high functioning. Like, I didn't know. It took a doctor like 3 different interviews with me to like fully determine that it was something that I was struggling with, and I am medicated for it as well. And I think it does help with the focus some, and you know, for me, I think even just knowing it was helpful. Like, just understanding that the distractibility is not just me being lazy. It's not just me being, you know, unfocused or scattered, or, you know, any of the derogatory things you might say to yourself about why you can't stay on task, or why you can't see something through, or whatever. It's like to understand that you have a condition that predisposes you to that. Just creates sort of a window of kindness to myself around it, that makes it easier to just talk myself back, give myself a break when I can't get it together, you know, like, and just like learn how to function at the level that I can function at.
Yeah. Kat, you are a facilitator and educator. And you also engage in a lot of other things too, as I saw in your profile. Talk about your practice and what you facilitate, please.
Well, I facilitate a lot of things. I mean, I was an event planner and promoter for a long time. And so I facilitate those experiences for people being able to, I had physical locations for like swing and BDSM club, like where people would come. And so a lot of the facilitation in those days was, you know, when you're someone who's interested but afraid and you finally step foot into an establishment like that, it can be really frightening and it can be overwhelming. And so I did a lot of walking people through their early experiences around that sort of thing. So I did that kind of facilitation. We also do education, which the type of education we do, I consider more of a facilitation. We help people to essentially, we were saying this earlier, to educate themselves. Like I don't necessarily teach people things, but I facilitate them to become better versions of themselves.
You have an example of that?
Thank
Well,
you, Joshua.
we have a weekend intensive that we do. People come and spend an entire weekend with us, and we do everything from help give them a container that they can learn to find language for themselves and learn how to communicate with other people in a deeper, more authentic way. And then we do teach them things around BDSM or kink, but in a way that's very empowering, so people can become, they come in uncertain and they leave with a much greater degree of certainty about who they are and what they want and what they enjoy and how they can communicate that with other people, how to ask for what they want. And so I facilitate that experience for people, that they get to come, and by spending a weekend with us doing the things we ask them to do, they have this experience.
How often do you facilitate these groups?
Usually 2 or 3 times a year.
Oh,
Yeah, and we've been doing it for the last 6 years.
okay.
So we've probably done this weekend intensive easily 20 times in the last 6 years.
Okay. Okay. Joshua, you're also a facilitator, right?
Mhm.
So talk about what you do.
So on top of what Kat shared, I do men's groups where I help men reframe their relationship with masculinity and on how they're showing up in society. Essentially, it's like swimming upriver in the sea of toxic masculinity that's projected onto men. My role there is to help men see what part of it is theirs to own versus what part of it is theirs to not own and to step above. I started with an organization called All Kings, which helps those formerly incarcerated or impacted by the justice system. And I got here doing, through my client work, my domination work as well, working with, I work with men and women. However, it was a gentleman that brought me a New York Times article that showed me the organization. And my work is very parallel to what they were doing in helping men reframe their relationship with masculinity. And it was like I threw my hat into a system, but that opened a whole new door for me in helping men touch on the shame that they experience as boys and as young adults that is hard to process, or there's not enough space for men to talk about. So that's some of the facilitation I do. I also work with women in empowerment spaces. What I mean by that is the women that I work with are highly skilled, highly educated, goal-driven. They've got all the degrees, they've got everything in line, but there's a misalignment in relationship because of societal projections in the way men treat women, their lived experience in either feeling unsafe or unseen within society or in their relationships, and wanting to have some agency over the relationships they're building versus showing up through the desires of what other people expect them to. And I sit with both men and women and help them unlearn frameworks that they inherited or belief systems that aren't theirs. And some of it, a lot of it is faith-based. Unlearn church hurt or projected type of faith-based hurt to step into what they really believe to be true about existence so that they can start advocating from a place off of their belief system and to build relationships that they want and to show up in society how they want to be, and it's unafraid and seen.
Yeah, yeah. In some respects, Joshua, I do think that masculinity is under attack. and not just from the masses, but I think it's under attack from the home, because the masculinity role has been so misconstrued that we ask ourselves, what is a man now? Women may ask themselves, well, what can you do for me as a man? It's like, well, damn, I need to find out what a damn man is first and foremost, because society is jacked us up so hard. It's like, I mean, I got a penis. Does that count? I mean,
right?
you know, I'm just saying. I mean,
Yeah, that's good.
we can start there, right? I mean, but but it goes deeper than that, though.
It goes much deeper. I'm going to start a podcast in about a week or two, and it's going to be called something along the lines of "What is a man?" Because that's a conversation people aren't having out of the fear of offending someone. And what I've boiled it down to, we were at a hookah lounge 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I asked this young man, he was in his early 20s. I go, "Hey, brother, what can you?" Because we were having a deep conversation. I said, "Fuck it, let's ask this guy." So
Yeah.
I asked him, I go, "Hey, brother, how do you define a man?" And he was caught off guard. And then he was afraid to answer because he was afraid of offending me or one of us. And I was like, listen, I don't give a shit what you say. I just want to know where you're at. And
Right.
so as he started to say, he was like, wait, I don't really know. I can't answer this. And it's like, you can't. So then he turned the tables. He Uno reversed that shit on me. I wasn't expecting. Well, how do you define it? And I'm like, oh shit. So I said, all right, let me go to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom. On my way to the bathroom, I thought about it, and it dawned on me.
Yeah.
I came back fucking ready. So I turned on my video to record it. Ultimately, it's two things. There's consistency in behavior that allows you to be a dependable person all the time wherever you go. Meaning, I have to mature into becoming a man by consistent responsibility, accountability, dependability, vulnerability, all the abilities on top of consistency.
Yeah.
Doing this shit all the time. Now, with that said, society, there's a social expectation and responsibility. If I say I'm a man, I better show up with all of these traits ready to go. Whether they agree with me or not, whether they love me or hate me, that's my social responsibility. If I say I'm a man, I'm going to show up and you can rely on me. Anything less than that is a fucking guy. It's not a man. You're just a guy.
Well, there's stages to men development. You know, you got the kid, you got the boy, you got the male.
I do the evolution. Do the evolution.
You got the man. Did I touch something right here, guys?
Yeah, no, that we
I
went.
wanted you to do this next time and be like, share the evolution.
We went down that, right? We went down. And the difference is, check this out, because I was talking about this today. It goes boy, big boy, like a teenager. Then it goes to guy, and the guy is like a grown-ass teenager. The difference between a guy and a young man is awareness. Awareness of the ability to make different choices. Because the guy is consuming, the guy is making choices based off of ego, based off of personal consumption. The young man is the realization that his choices have an effect on everything around him. And then the young man goes into the man after being able to do these behaviors consistently over and over and over and over.
And evolve from that.
Yeah. Because one more thing, and then I'm done. One more thing, and then I'm done. Because there's the trans ideology, trans movement, which to each their own. Joan of Arc took the mantle of a man during her time. Nobody questioned her. She showed up. They didn't know she was a woman. To them, they all thought she was a man. And she was out there chopping people down until they found out she was a woman. And then they did what they did. But that was the social expectation of what she was willing to step into. So if anyone wants to say they're a man, well, this is the threshold that you better be prepared to execute, because if not, then you're just role playing. No matter if you have a penis or a vagina, right? It's like there's a social responsibility. If I say I'm a man, then you better be a fucking person of your word.
Ooh.
I get hyped up over that shit.
Yeah. That's why I was like, he understands what I'm talking about. Yeah. You know, so many guys were stuck at that male stage. And it's crazy that I was facilitating men's groups as well last year, and me and my partner, we would express to the guys that the difference between being a male and being a man, you said it. It's about it's not necessarily like role playing, but stepping into your responsibilities. You you are no longer a kid. Even the Bible says, when I was a child, I thought as a child, I behaved like a child, but when I became a man, I put away those childish things. We got to put those things aside and step into our purpose. As men, we are leaders. And as you said, we have to walk in that purpose. That also means we may have to make some decisions that people don't like. We also have to be able to stand firm and say, I'm going to do this for my family. Because I have a role to play in this thing called family. I'm the head. I'm not the tail. I'm not role playing. It is what it is.
Yes.
If I'm going to be this man, I got to act like it. I got to walk like it. I got to talk like it. I got to put away those childish things. I got to become this man that God told me that I am, that we are.
Yep.
Those are the things that me and my partner had to teach these brothers in the jail, because many of them were still stuck on male status.
Yep. Yep. I tell people I didn't become a man until 45 because I needed to meet other men doing the same work.
Absolutely.
And until then, I was lost. I was role playing. I was trying to, and it's
Same
it's my responsibility to them and to the people who we support in different areas of our lives that I have to step into that structure. I have to step into that responsibility. This shit is new to me. I was trying to be a guy for as long as I could. I was holding on to that fucking G.I. Joe, but it was like, I can't.
You role playing, bro.
I can't.
You got to drop that shit. Drop it.
Yeah.
Amen to that. What is the future of the Kink Collective, everybody? I'll start with you, Natalie. Actually, go ahead. Actually, Natalie, I have a question for you before we get into that.
Please.
What, you have a particular place within this collective here. Talk about your angle in this before we talk about the
My angle, the work that I do within the collective specifically. Sure, I'll answer the question how I maybe interpret it. So I like to think that I hold the foundation. I have a vision for where the collective is moving, and a lot of the work that I do is social media strategy and design. So I see a lot of other organizations, and I use other organizations as inspiration for our organization. And a lot of the work that I do involves research and development. So that's my main focus. And I don't have a background in social media design or strategy. This is all what I've committed to learning for the sake of the mission, which I truly believe in. And how I view it is power dynamics live in every relationship, whether we're willing to acknowledge it or not. And our foundation is BDSM and kink, where you need to negotiate for everything, for safety of mind, body, and spirit. And that's the truth of it. We talk about hurt. We want to hurt people in BDSM because it's fun and because it involves learning and wisdom, but we don't want to harm people. And there's a big difference between hurt and harm. And that's another conversation. But how I view it is a social platform and a place for people to be able to learn how to navigate power dynamics in their relationships, whether it's professionally, whether it's romantically, whether it's personally, between family and friends, so that when you are able to know who's leading and who's following in each portion of your life, those are the boundaries. And then that's where the play happens. If you're not able to negotiate who's in charge of what time, there's assumptions and expectations and confusion and problems arise. So when we're able to say, okay, I'm taking the lead here and I'm surrendering here to your lead, then you can just be present instead of thinking, oh, well, why are they doing it this way? Or why am I not, there's a lot more freedom within the bounds of it and the discipline. So I do envision us moving towards online education where we can reach thousands of people all around the world to be able to navigate power dynamics in relationships.
Okay. And I apologize for jumping the question, but I got a little geek. Well, I got a little amped up, man. You know what I'm saying? It's something that it's just something that moves me when I can converse with another grown ass man, and that we can understand one another's position and our purpose as grown ass men, responsible men, caring men, loving men. Because also being a part of a man is knowing when to sit your ass down and listening to, your other half or your family, listen to them, and act accordingly. It's not about moving when you feel like moving. Sometimes you got to move when your wife or significant other says, hey, we need this. All right, I'm gonna get that. You want it? I got you.
I got you.
So it also, it means having everybody's back. Everybody's back. Joshua has all your backs, both, period. And he's standing on it and he's walking in it. That's something that you see. I'm getting geeked again. I'm sorry. But, like I said, it's something that we as men have to understand, that we can't be the male body. We can't be in that male body or that male mindset. We got to drop the childish things. We got to drop the selfish things, because like you said earlier, it's about sacrifice. It's not always about what you want. It's about what's best for the family.
Yeah.
We have to have that vision to look at what's best for us and not just for me. See, that's the difference between being the male and being the man.
Yeah.
Ain't that right, Joshua?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking about the early years with Kat and how I had to unlearn a lot of my selfish wants and needs. And she
Indeed.
gave me the space to fucking do it, man. She was like, listen, fine, do it. And when you're fucking done, go clean up and I'll be here. And that's what happened. I had to shake off a lot of the learned behaviors that made me feel safe versus made me feel strong or present or real or real. Like, yeah, no, there I try to reiterate that as much as I can. Every few weeks, at the very least, I'll be like, where are you at with your goals? What do you need from me? How can I support? What do I need to change or what's missing?
Yeah.
Because I want to be unshakable like that, because I've caused enough chaos in my life. I've unbecome who I knew I could be. And now I'm done with that. And I'm done with disappointment. I'm done with not stepping into the role that I know I could be, because they've created the space for me to step into it. And once there's the awareness of it, then it's all my choice or fault if I don't follow through.
Okay, so the question: what's the future of the Kink Collective?
Good, Mo.
We're gonna save the world. Sorry.
Good luck with that.
Well, we have big aspirations for helping people, and we want to help as many people worldwide as we possibly can to with all of these things, to step into who they really are, to be their most authentic selves. As cliche as that sounds in today's day and age, it really is true. And so, yeah, so like Natalie said, we're looking to develop the online education piece, which allows us to reach more people on a larger scale. And will also allow us to move out of New York City at some point, which is something I really want to do. Yeah, so that's the very short version of it.
So you need to visit us before then.
Oh.
Sooner the better.
All right. How can people contact you?
You can reach us through our website, kinkcollective.net. We're also on Instagram. What is it? Kink-Collective. And that's the easiest way.
You could also listen to the Conscious Kinky podcast, which involves Joshua and Kat every Wednesdays on Spotify and YouTube.
What's it called?
The Conscious Kinky podcast.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's essentially imagine group circles where you dive into different conversations around power exchange, identity, how are you showing up in a relationship, and people dive deep into these conversations. All of the education that we do, none of it is lecture based. We don't teach from an ivory tower. We don't lecture to anyone. What we do is we help people understand their relationship with the topic, dominance, submission, ultimately power. Power meaning the influence you have in relation to another person. Either the idea is to get to power with, not power over, and not power under power, but to meet it where you can, and to be able to identify where you're leaking it so that you can actually show up in your life. But that's, no one teaches us that shit, right? It's like
yeah,
the evolution of maturity goes from childhood to people pleasing, depending on what was happening to you and how you felt neglected or unseen, to developing coping mechanisms to staying safe and validated or meaningful. Like, how do I stay relevant? Because if a person becomes neglected, they'll starve. So it's almost like the subconscious kicks in to keep from being neglected. So what do I need to do in order to survive? So survival mode kicks in. And then people will go in survival mode until either they have a second coming of Christ, midlife awakening, or they meet someone who can see them for who they are. And it's like, wait a second, this is what it feels like to be validated? That's wild. And then it's like, well, how do I get there again? And our role is to help people find where they're leaking power through the lens of sexuality. Other people have different ways of doing it. The people that get to us are curious about relationships and how they're showing up in intimate relationships because it hasn't been working, because they've been using the apps or they've been using checklists. And it's like, why is none of this working? I'm doing all the right things. It's like you're doing all the right things for a system that's broken because it's removed the individual and it's filled it with checklists of how I need someone to fill this part of my life in order for me to feel complete. It's like, no, not at all, right? It's like you need to understand the role that you play in connection and understand the value that you know, when they say, why bring the dinner table? It's like, well, do you really? To determine that is, well, how much of yourself do you know? And then how able are you to hold space to invite others up to where you're at? Because with awareness comes responsibility. And that's what we teach people, is the responsibility through the awareness that they experience when they come work with us.
The chosen family. I have enjoyed this conversation immensely. I really appreciate you guys. And I'm speaking personally, you know, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to chop it up with me and you know, share your stories, share your journey together, and share the work that you do. And I wish nothing but the best and success for each and every one of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much for the time.
Yeah, thank you. And don't be strangers. You guys got my email. Hit me up. And
Okay.
Josh, brother Josh, let me know. Keep me updated on your sessions, and hopefully I can get on one day.
Yeah, just for the record, any men that are watching your show, your program, are invited to the men's group that I host. It's every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can find me through Foundations of the Liberated Man, FOTLM.com. Just send me a message and I'll get you the link to join, because as Kat was saying, we want to change the world. The way we can change the world is by planting seeds. It's the person's responsibility to tend that garden, to grow that seed of well, who am I and what am I afraid of?
Yeah.
And how do I find a place that can help me, support me in tending my garden?
And help men walk in their purpose.
We need to. I agree with you. I believe to a degree there is a war on men. Understandably so in some areas, because men are fucking assholes, what's happened. And things have to change, but we have to show that we are capable of the responsibility by showing up and doing as we say, against all odds, especially when people don't want to hear it. It's okay. Just keep doing the next right thing.
Amen, brother. Amen. Natalie, Kat, Joshua, much love and respect to you guys. You know, I got to do that, man. I got to do that. And Semper Fi team, my brother, Semper Fi, man. Keep me posted on your progress, please.
Will do, brother. Semper Fi.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Speak Your Truth with Mark Ross podcast. I often say this, and I'll say this again. It's okay to not be okay. Just do something about it. Chosen family, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You guys have a good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys also have a good evening. Peace, everybody.